Evie's hairbrush. It's what Mitchell will remember most about their night together. While she sleeps, he takes the opportunity to snoop around her place. Her bedroom, unexciting, staid and functional furniture is arranged just as one would expect. A few dusty framed photos hang apathetically, as though tired of looking at Evie, looking at them day and night. In the living room, around the TV and its associated equipment, not a single cord is loose. The only signs of disarray are a few decorative pillows lying haphazardly on the floor near the couch, cast aside when she'd leapt on him, suddenly, her face assuming a strange and moody expression, one he didn't think she could make. A cozy but neat kitchen. She'd even taken the time to stack their used dishes and glasses so each item fit in the sink without any overflow. He'd offered to clean, but she rebuffed him. "It's no trouble," she said, tossing her hair over her shoulder as she arranged the utensils in a drinking glass, business side down. There had been something conspiratorial about her smile in that moment, something that intimated she'd had a look at Mitchell's soft hands and didn't think he was up to the task. In the dark, he turns around in the kitchen with his arms outstretched and his fingertips brush the walls. At his place, the kitchen is 3 times the size, but he shares it with as many people. Evie's apartment is so quiet. No phones beat for attention. There is no constant murmur from a television or radio to underscore his activities. The morning news while he brushes his teeth. A blustering radio talk show host vitriol spilling over into his workday. The shower running while he eats dinner. After the sex, he had laid down next to her, and he tried to sleep in earnest, but the silence was overwhelming, and Evie turned out to be an active sleeper. She kept shifting her body, claiming more and more space, until he was flushed to the edge of the bed, fearful of the floor beneath. The couch is long enough. If anything, he can stretch out there and try for a few hours rest. But the night is wearing on, and he has much to accomplish between now and daylight. Perhaps less time is if Evie gets up to use the bathroom, or if she wakes and finds negative space next to her, she'll go wondering if he cut and run. It's not a difficult task. The minuscule video cameras and microphones are cheap and easily accessible, and as most men of his generation can do with technological muscle memory and a good set of instructions, setting up the feed and relaying it to his computer is no trouble. In the weeks since their involvement, he's adopted this phrase. Evie has an old-fashioned way about her. Even her name is old-timey. He's sure one of his grandmother's friends was also an Evie, one of those biddies with the fragile hair and false teeth, drinking mimosas in the garden on a Tuesday morning, dropping obscenities and burping like teenage boys. His Evie has collected and speaks anachronisms like hooray when she's excited, and certainly not, or how dare you, this last generally said in jest, but Mitchell gets the feeling that she's used it in seriousness, with that old Hollywood vixen emphasis, flashing eyes and mouth drawn into an impenetrable knot. How dare you? Maybe less anachronistic and more British, a culture that to him seems antiquated. What would you say instead? Evie asked, when questioned. I'd say not a problem, or no big deal. I can't see how they're different. They aren't, I guess, but it's funny to hear you say things like that. Well, how dare you, she said, gulped her wine, and scooted a little closer to him, the friction causing the vinyl-wrapped bench they shared to squeal in protest. In Evie's apartment, he moves quickly and quietly, having scouted out the most appropriate hiding places before dinner while she was occupied at the stove or elsewhere. It was their 3rd date, the serious one, she'd said, because she hardly allowed friends into her apartment, let alone a strange man who picked her up at the grocery store. And she was cooking for him on top of all that. She hoped he'd find a good way to show his appreciation. The wine Mitchell had brought was a start, and his backpack, bulky and full. Were there more treats inside it? She hadn't let him answer. She'd taken his belongings and the wine and stashed them away in their appropriate places. I'm not a fan of chaos, she said. I don't like things hanging about. I always try to find the order in everything. So you're not into entropy then? Evie showed him a genuine smile. Nice 10-cent word. To do what he does, he has to be good at reading people, and by extension, gleaning what isn't on the page to discover what they are hiding, or what they lack. He hadn't sought Evie out as with the others. She was surprised, and he feels particularly affectionate towards her because of this. He finds her innocence staggering, the way she looks at him sometimes, hopeless and hopeful at the same time, like he might save her from something she can't articulate. He'd been shopping for groceries, an awful and routine activity, picking up easy-to-prepare items, sustenance for shopping for a man in his early 30s who can't be bothered with anything that requires more than 5 ingredients. When an orange had rolled at his feet, and he sidestepped through the produce section, any item involving cleaning or chopping was useless to him. And overcoming his first instinct to kick the orange away, he picked it up and replaced it on top of the pile, leaning her hand on the way down, searching as it was through the pyramid of fruit for just the right one. She hadn't so much as glanced at him. She muttered thanks and moved that particular orange, tainted from its fall, to another part of the bin. Mitchell had watched her for a few moments while she rifled through the bin of oranges, lifting each one, hefting its weight and squeezing gently. One was heavy, pumped with juice. Maybe that one was too good to go. Another, though perfectly round and fresh, was marred by pale green blotches, surely a bad sign. She seemed fretful and impatient, upset that not one orange, of what must be hundreds, fit her standards. It was endearing. It made Mitchell's chest hair stand on end. You won't find a good one that way, he said. Oranges stop ripening after they're picked. Nature's game of chance. Beg pardon? I'm just saying, you're likely wasting your time. One that looks good may be spoiled on the inside, and one that looks bad might be the best orange you've ever had. Evie cocked her head, her body frozen mid-movement, her slender arm outstretched, and the bony fingers poised over an orange. Well, it won't stop me from trying, she said. Just watching out for a fellow customer. Bashful smile, he reminded himself, expressed humility. Evie softened, but returned to her task. Mitchell fell back, made a slow turn around the produce, and kept a far distance away while she shopped. He couldn't get a beat on her. Besides being obviously over 21, her age was indiscriminate. Was she 35, 42, 27? Her skin was smooth, even-toned and unblemished. She wore her hair in an unfussy ponytail whose length rested obediently along her spine. Her wrists were narrow, thin enough that one of his hands could hold them both together. He pictured this, her arms pinned over her head, and her body stretched out underneath his, and her wrist bones rubbing against his palm, and shrugged the thought away. His features were oddly set, a millimeter left of center for her to be considered beautiful, but not far off enough to break a beholder's intrigue. One of her incisors angled its way over her front tooth. She had a tendency to drag her feet. A pity because her shoes, though plain, were high-end. She made a slow loop around the store, inspecting labels, searching shelves for products that were right in front of her face, organizing the items in her cart by type and size. When she made her way towards the checkout, Mitchell made a point of choosing the only acceptable lane, the one helmed by the no-nonsense cashier, and suggesting she move ahead of him, though her cart was full to bursting, and his basket contained dairy items, potato chips, and cheese, and mineral water. Mr. Orange Man, she said, thank you. Thank you.